You're listening to Comic Reflections, episode 25. I'm Nicholas Prom.
And I'm Spencer Valadez.
Nice. All right, so Spencer.
Yes.
What do you want to lead off our back issue feature
right. So
this episode?
It's almost Halloween.
Indeed, Halloween comes forth.
Yeah, so I think we both kind of picked some creepier comics.
Sure.
I
should have dug out creepy. Oh, well.
Right.
Oh, well.
I picked The Savage Return of Dracula. It's from the Tomb of Dracula series from back in 1971. Issues 1 and 2, which is really fun. Dracula's like great-grandnephew, something like that.
Sure.
What was his first name?
Was it Jerry Conway's writing this?
Yes, Jerry Conway.
Before, a few issues later, Marv Wolfman took over and really the series took off as a writer. And, of course, great artwork from Gene Colan.
Yeah.
A legend.
Yes.
So,
nephew of Dracula inherits the castle in Transylvania. A buddy of his convinces him to make it a museum. So they go, and Dracula wakes up. I won't spoil how it comes about, but these two issues were a lot of fun. It's Halloween, so it's creepy and fun, and it was cool. It has the classic comic book code on there, and you explained to me that after a while they loosened up on that. And so,
well, right. Then the code was instated in 1955.
Mm-hmm.
The comics were like, there was not anything that smacked of horror or monsters was not.
Right.
I mean, unless it was like the giant radioactive variety, was not permissible until the code kind of relaxed some of its rules in the early 70s. You could do a drug story or an anti-drug story, or you could have vampires and things like that come back. So
we have a return of vampires with Dracula, and it was really fun. If you can find it in your back issue bins, pick it up. It's cool.
Yeah, and also the Tomb of Dracula is collected in those essential Marvel volumes, which are very affordable. And I think they've done 3 or 4 volumes of the Tomb of Dracula. It's a pretty well-loved series. So,
right. Yeah.
So yeah. So good stuff there.
Yeah.
So I dug through some of my horror comics, and first what I was reading was from the Crypt of Terror, number 17.
I think it's number 2.
I have my own notes, and it was number 17.
Okay.
Which a couple issues later became Tales from the Crypt, which of course we know. And this is like before they even introduced the Crypt Keeper as the kind of the guy who would post the stories. But the story I read was about a werewolf. It was Curse of the Full Moon.
Oh.
And these 2 guys are like, they're friends, and they're traveling through Europe, I guess, just over a period of months. And they're visiting some village, and they're hiking, and one of them kind of comes in contact, scrapes his hand on some wolfsbane. And at the same time, there was like a murder in the town, and so the one guy thinks that he may have become a werewolf, because he's hearing the superstition of the villagers. And so they leave, and then they're traveling through Europe, and they go to throughout places, and there was a full moon. There's a murder, and the guy keeps thinking, oh God, I'm a werewolf, and like whatever. Well, the climax of the story is they've been traveling for months, and it turns out he wasn't the werewolf at all, but his friend was a werewolf and let him think he was, so he thought he was going nuts, and whatever, and so.
That's good.
Spoiler, but that's fun stuff, and it's kind of pretty indicative of the kinds of stories that you would see in Tales from the Crypt and the Vault of Horror.
The cool twist at the end where you're like, what? Okay.
And this is very early in those comics when that but yeah, the twist element is there, and it's a lot of fun.
Cool.
And the other issue I read this week was it's another Marvel horror comic. It's Fear, number 22 from 1974, and it's Morbius, the Living Vampire.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's really cool. It's written by the late Steve Gerber, who he was known for creating Howard the Duck and Man-Thing. And these were creations that he used. He injected a lot of social commentary into his stories. Mm-hmm. Well, in this, Morbius is he's like trapped in this pocket dimension with this race of cat people who were created by like a wizard centuries before. Okay, and it's a small thing, and like they have this city of cat people, but they've got this problem with overpopulation. Steve Gerber, haha. And of course, one of the leaders of the cat people wants Morbius to be a killer, to come in and like thin out their ranks of people because they don't have enough resources to sustain their people. And he's like not having it. It's like, no, this is a curse. I'm not gonna just throw in with you and go along with that. He doesn't want to kill. He's trying to cure himself.
Right.
So there's that conflict and that struggle. And so that was a really cool story.
Awesome.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think that's our kind of back issues for this week.
Yeah.
The old horror comics are just great because they have just weird twists. They have very weird, just off the wall stories that you can't get really anywhere else.
Yeah. I mean,
and so I suggest picking up as many as you can if you can find them.
Oh yeah, and you cruise the bins, you can find deals for on books like that, and they're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to add to that, there's a blog spot you can visit. It's called you just go to thehorrorsofitall.blogspot.com, I think it is.
Okay.
And this guy, Craig Yo, I think, runs it, and he's the guy that put out that haunted horror that we put out, that we read a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And he collects these old comics, and he just puts up scans
from
old new stuff, because a lot of it's really rare and a lot of it hasn't been reprinted, and so you can read those for nothing online.
Awesome.
And you may even be able to download and print them. I'm not sure.
That'd be cool.
Or get them on your Kindle or whatever.
E-readers.
That's what I'm trying to say. But don't quote me on that. But you can read them online for free, so that's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So very cool blog. But yeah, let's talk about our new books.
Yeah, totally. First up, we're going to start with DC, like we usually do.
Yeah.
This week I picked up All-Star Western. I've been picking up a couple different Western books. Lone Ranger, Snake of Iron.
Right.
A couple.
And it occurred to me, I'm like, why isn't he reading Jonah Hex book? I'm like, a Western, I figured like a shoe-in.
Yeah. So this is featuring Jonah Hex, horror at Haley's Circus.
And you remember Haley's Circus, the Flying Graysons, from Batman comics. And sure enough, it stops in Gotham City in this story.
Yeah.
There are a lot of parallels to future DC history in this. So,
and that's about all I liked about it.
Yeah, this wasn't a great issue to come in on, I have to say.
No.
The killer clown aspect totally made me think of the Joker.
Yeah.
But
and they were in Gotham. Yeah.
Yeah, and being in Gotham City, and there's a Mr. Hyde kind of thing that they're facing. We kind of get to at the end of the story.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I thought was interesting, Hyde mentioned something about a black diamond, and it immediately made me think of Eclipso.
Okay.
Which you've got to go back and read some Eclipso stuff, because he has this black diamond that I don't know, it's this object that kind of like he channels like black light or something, and just evilness ensues through that. Anyway,
okay.
So I'm curious as to see where they're going with that, or if I'm totally crazy. But the backup feature was interesting in this book too.
Yeah, I like that DC is having these kind of short backup sections in their book. So
I think it makes the book a little more valuable. If the issue was ho-hum, like a backup story can kind of like, hey, this was no waste, So.
Yeah, and so we have Tomahawk. It's a very different Tomahawk.
And what they mean by that is this Tomahawk is a Native American. And this is just like historical like battle. Like this, I think, is like lifted straight from history.
Yeah, totally.
But the original Tomahawk from the Silver Age was a Western character, but he was a frontiersman.
Okay.
So it's totally different.
Yeah, totally. So I enjoyed that.
He was a whitey. That's what I'm trying to say.
And so we have if I pick this book up again, it's going to be for the Tomahawk story. It's hard for me to pick up a book for the back end story.
That's what I've been doing I was doing with Justice League for a while.
And so,
even though the book's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
I still want that Shazam backup story. Come on.
Definitely.
So come on, Jeff Johns. We want that for issue 14 of Justice League.
Yes. Anyway. And so I'm thinking about maybe picking up this book for the Tomahawk backstory, because I love history.
And maybe the Jonah Hex will get better, and maybe we'll warm up to it. So
totally.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of your books this week was The Dark Knight.
Batman, The Dark Knight, number 13, and we had, I think it's well written. It's Greg Hurwitz, novelist, and it's Batman is captured by the Scarecrow, and he's using a new fear gas on him, and we're getting all this inner monologue and flashbacky stuff, and it's really, really cool. We're getting some insight into the Scarecrow's origin.
Yeah. Which is really cool, because we know he was messed up, but we didn't know
really. It was multi-generational.
Right, yeah.
And we'll just leave it at that. But I found this to be a pretty good book. People are saying that this is kind of the weak Bat book, but I enjoyed this.
Oh, really?
I had people, until the new creative team came on Detective, it was this The Dark Knight and Detective were kind of the weak Bat books.
Oh, I've enjoyed these.
Yeah. Well, we haven't been reading those for very long, is what I was trying to say.
Right.
So,
the Bat book I'm not enjoying very much is the Batman Incorporated.
which we're going to talk about now.
Yeah. So it's Grant Morrison.
Yay!
It's number 4 in the series. Most of the DC books are in about 13.
So this came in at the second wave of wave 2, I think, of New 52. So, but yeah, I like this. You want to talk about this? What you still think it's a stinker?
Yeah, there's just so many. There was a ton of characters in this one.
Mm-hmm.
I recognized Damian.
Sure.
And
Jason
Todd? I saw Jason Todd and Nightwing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, other than that, it's like, why do I care about these other characters?
Well, you don't have an investment in them yet because you don't know them, but
right. But yeah, the art is way better than what the Zero issue was, by far. I remember
Chris Burnham, good artist.
I hated the Zero issue art.
Right.
With just so much. This is way better. I don't know if it was a different artist or not, but
I don't have it here to refer to. Sorry,
right. But art's a lot better in this one. The story, it seems really kind of jumbled for me.
It's I think, and then you'll get that with a book with a large cast.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I'm still interested in it. So
why are you liking it? Not why are you liking that book, but
I don't know. I'm liking this take on a larger Bat book, or I'm saying the overarching Bat family and working as this kind of unit, and then there's some struggles going on in there.
Okay.
I like it. It's interesting.
Right.
It's cool to see Batman, running the show and coordinating all these people.
Yeah.
I like that. I haven't really seen that since Batman and the Outsiders in the 80s, or somewhat in the current Justice League book, but not to that level. Or what was it? Dang it! Or when he was leading the Justice League in Giffen and DeMatteis's Justice League. But I don't know. I guess I like Batman in that role.
Right.
So it's a win for me, but
right.
Not so much for you. So.
Not so much.
Okay.
But a win for both of us is Flash number 13.
Yeah.
By Francis Manapul.
Yeah.
So last issue we had the introduction of, not introduction, but the return of...
In the annual, the return of Grodd. It was as, the Flash had this big battle with the Rogues. And then Gorilla Grodd shows up with his army of super apes. And so they're invading Central City. And so the fight between Flash and the Rogues turns to Flash and the Rogues against Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah.
And this is a sweet, sweet issue. Man, I keep doing that. Really enjoyable, and it's so funny to see the Trickster tries to throw in with Grodd.
Right.
And he is not interested.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
that's all. Yeah. Read this book, but really cool. It so reminds me of the Silver Age, when there was the Flash's Rogues, and they were pretty much all friends, except Grodd. They thought they were all buffoons and wouldn't have anything to do with them.
Uh-huh.
So it's the perfect interplay there. It's very true to the characters.
Right.
Even though it's New 52 and it's a reboot, there is this familiarity, and I like that.
Right.
The way relationships work in these, they didn't fix something that didn't need to be broken.
Yeah.
And I like it a lot. So The Flash continues to be one of my favorite reads. It's a book I look forward to every month.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Book I picked up, Justice League Dark. It's number 13 by Jeff Lemire.
Yeah. He's writing Animal Man right now.
I love this. I'm bummed that I didn't think about picking it up earlier.
Right. It'd be nice to have read number 12 because this is the second part of this story.
Right.
Of a 3-part arc.
And I'm sure we can find it.
Oh, yeah.
But...
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have John Constantine, Zatanna, Deadman, and...
Black Orchid.
And
then Madame Xanadu is also part of the lineup, and she shows up in here later.
Right.
But yeah, this is really cool, and it was cool to see Deadman as Zatanna fight Blackbriar Thorn, a character I had nearly forgotten about. And Felix Faust is in this. Wow, it's cool to see his New 52 iteration. It's different. He's really ghoulish in this, but cool.
Yeah, totally dug it. I mean, I like that. You talked about this yesterday. The idea that Deadman is able to be seen.
I wasn't sure if it's like magic people can see him, or if it's he can be seen if he wants to be.
Right.
I'm a little fuzzy because we haven't been reading this book long.
Right.
But it's great to see Deadman. It's great to see him in a team dynamic.
Yeah.
You always saw him in team ups. Like usually with Batman.
Right.
The occasional thing in World's Finest or Brave and the Bold. But it's very cool to see him in this kind of dynamic, and he's definitely the kind of the comic relief of the team.
Which, in this book, I feel it needs it.
Even though he's not like a liability, he's definitely a strong asset to this team, and I really like it too. It seems like they have ties to Steve Trevor, so I wonder if they're going to be the ancillary team with the Justice League of America book. Like these guys are also part of that.
Right. Yeah. The Zero issue is really I feel it's essential to this story.
Because they're Zatanna and Constantine's old friend and partner Nick Necro returns.
Right.
And so interesting things are afoot, and we're gonna find out Wednesday when the annual comes out. And that's cool because that should be like 48 pages.
Right. Of Justice League Dark, which is awesome.
Yeah, I hope it's 42 pages, but yeah, 48, whatever. That's usually the annual size, but I don't know.
Right.
But it should be a really killer story. I'm looking forward to reading that. This is a cool book, and I'm really glad to be getting into this and the feel of this book as we head towards the Trinity War later in 2013.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Red Lanterns.
Yes, part of the Rise of the Third Army. This is number 13, written by Peter Milligan.
Man, Atrocitus and his crew, they are the crew of vengeance. I thought this was like a supervillain book, but in a way it is, but it's more like an anti-hero group because they are pursuing justice in a vengeance kind of way.
Right. They're vigilantes, but not in the Batman vigilante sense. And we're going to rip your arms off and...
Yeah, there's definitely brutality and less let's bring these people to justice and imprison them. It's we go and kill bad men.
Right. And so I gave this book a hard time last time we talked about it.
The previous issue, the Zero issue, is what you read.
Right.
And you weren't so into that. I thought that was the origin of Atrocitus.
Right. I might have spoke too soon. Because even with this one issue, these two issues that I've read, it's exponentially gotten better.
Yeah. And I think we get into the issue number 14s of all the Lantern books. That's where things are going to start really connecting. I think these are kind of
the Third Army.
I think these are the intro books as everyone's kind of encountering this new force that's decimating these various Lantern Corps.
Right. But we gain some hope in this book. Because
Atrocitus discovers a weakness of theirs. He discovers, their methods So that's cool.
Yeah. Which I think it's cool that he learns it, and then he has to be able to share that with Reiner and I guess Baz.
Yeah, well, I don't know how he's gonna fit into this, but we will find out. And of course, with I can't wait to see what's in store for Jon Stewart and the Guy Gardner.
Yeah.
In the next issue of Green Lantern Corps, man, dire straits.
Yeah,
dire
definitely.
straits for our folks. Okay, so very good book.
Yeah, definitely.
So Superman number 13.
Yeah.
And this is leading into the Hell on Earth crossover, of course, with the Superboy and Supergirl. And in this issue, Superman comes face to face with this big monster from somewhere that he's never seen before, and turns out to be Kryptonian of origin.
Right.
Man, Scott Lobdell, who I kind of remember from Marvel Comics, is writer, and Kenneth Rocafort, man, really gorgeous art throughout. I mean, this book, I may have to start reading just because it might have to be a regular book for me just because this art is so stunning. Yeah.
I think it's cool. I like this Superman I like this Clark Kent that doesn't put up with crap.
Yeah, he really confronted Morgan Edge, who's the head honcho at GBS and who, of course, own the Daily Planet. And, Clark took a kind of a hit in his personal life for that.
Right.
The secret ID is not having a great time, even though he's Superman. And this makes for good reading.
Yeah.
You're Superman, you're the most powerful man physically on the planet, and then, but your secret identity is, like, great.
Right, some nerd.
Yeah.
With ideals from Smallville.
Yeah, yeah, and standing up for those ideals as Clark Kent costs him his job.
Right.
Whereas it earns him glory and respect as Superman. So I love that dichotomy. It makes for good reading.
Yes, it does.
Although it was weird, it was kind of breaking from how we normally think of Clark Kent because he stood up for himself.
Yeah.
And it was Superman in Clark clothes, but but not impressing anybody because it's Clark.
Right.
So very good reading.
Also, we see Superman kind of abusing his X-ray vision, reading Lois's texts and things.
Oh, that's right. And she found out that he found out that she's moved on and
right.
Getting together. So he's conflicted about Lois. There's not closure there, even though he's kind of gotten together with Wonder Woman.
Right. And I think he mentions that in his thought.
So, and that happens. I think that's a natural thing when people transition their lives. You haven't got all the feelings worked out and stuff. That reads very human, and it's made it very believable. It made the character of Clark or Superman more realistic, and I liked it.
Yeah. So we are finished with DC this week.
Yeah.
We're going to jump into Marvel with The Amazing Spider-Man, number 696.
Man, Dan Slott is continuing to write excellent Spidey stories here.
Right.
I love this. So the original Hobgoblin is coming back, and he wants to take down the usurper of his name and status.
Murderer of his brother.
Yeah, which he doesn't seem too bent out of shape about.
Right.
But it's more of he feels that this other Hobgoblin is making him look bad and whatever. But really cool, and so he's kind of come in conflict with that. And of course, the current Hobgoblin is working for the Kingpin.
Yeah.
Spidey's been captured, but they don't even know they've captured Spidey.
Right.
They think it's Peter Parker.
Yeah, his weaponer and
at Horizon Labs. So, pretty cool story. I love how the ransom is Spider-Man's got to trade places with Parker, but how is he going to do that?
Right, yeah.
So, I'm looking forward to this. I mean, we're 4 more issues before this series is done. Amazing Spider-Man is going to end with number 700. But I think this is going to be really cool stuff. I'm really dug this issue.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I've been enjoying these Spider comics for a while now. I've given Spidey a hard time in the past, and this is totally making up for it. any hard feelings. I think the hard feelings stem from those 3 terrible movies.
Well, it's more like the 2 pretty good movies and the 1 really bad one.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, I'm sorry, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I still think the first one was okay. The second 2 just.
Oh man, see, number 2 is the one I like the most.
Oh yeah.
But except for Amazing Spider-Man is better than any of them.
Oh yeah.
But anyway.
I thought it was good. I didn't realize what this cover was until.
Oh yeah, it's
just now.
We're seeing kind of like it's Spider-Man's mask and his eyes as kind of windows, and you're seeing the 2 hobgoblins facing off against each other, as if they were like 2 windows, like in 2 stories, one above the other. But so, and enjoying this, and you said that you previously you weren't as big a Spider-Man fan. Does it make you curious to go back and read older Spider-Man comics to kind of?
Oh yeah, and there's a few in the box that
I've lent you.
Yeah,
cool.
That I wanted to pick up. There's the death of
Captain Stacy. Oh yeah, that's important. So.
Yeah. We have that. There's another with Morbius, another Spider-Man and Morbius story.
Oh yeah,
that's in the box, and so yeah, I'm gonna pick those up and read them.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that may be the story that introduces Morbius.
Oh okay.
I don't remember. I think I know the one you're talking about, but yeah, there's a lot of great stuff to read with Spidey, and I want to say that might even be when Gil Kane was still working on the book.
Oh okay.
Don't quote me on that. I can't remember, but
okay.
But anyway, so do we want to talk about the Avengers number
33?
33.
That's
32.
Yeah, I don't know why I read 33.
Uh-huh.
But it is number 32, and it is. Sorry, we have 2 with Cap on the front, and I'm trying to remember which story this one was.
This was the Avengers are gathered. They followed an old signal card.
Yeah.
The signal's coming from the microverse, and so the Avengers assemble in Central Park, where the battle with the Skrulls during Secret Invasion, where the Wasp was killed, or presumed so.
Right.
Apparently not. Apparently she was trapped in the microverse.
Right.
And so they got the signal, and so Cap, Thor, Iron Man, and Hank Pym, her former husband, they shrink down into the microverse to rescue her, while the other Avengers are assembled in the park, kind of like, well, what do we do now? Spidey and Spider-Woman, Hawkeye, and the Red Hulk, and it might have been it in this year. I can't remember, but this is really good. Bendis is as a lot of these titles that are ending, I'm thinking like, oh, is this last arc going to be crap? Some of them maybe, but not this.
Right.
New Avengers, it's not wowing me with the arc that's going on now, but this book. I'm liking this story, so kudos to you, Brian Michael Bendis.
Yeah.
I know I've given him a lot of crap on this show, but when he's good, he's real good, and this book is really enjoyable. So if you're kind of just waiting on Avengers post AVX for the relaunch, don't be reading this.
Yeah, pick up the End Times part series.
Yeah,
the last few issues, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Our next book is the final issue of Captain America. It's number 19 by Ed Brubaker.
Yeah. And this talks about the Cap. It's him dealing with the Cap from the 50s.
Yeah.
When he was frozen. Now, did you know about this?
Yes.
This story? Okay. Yeah. So,
not a ton, but I knew that the name carried on.
Right. It's kind of funny. The story where the Cap from the 50s reemerged and Cap had to fight with him like because he had gone nuts or whatever, is because they synthesized the super soldier serum, and over time it drove them crazy.
Right.
But it's funny because that kind of spawned out of a retcon, an imperfect retcon. Okay. And what I'll explain is, originally Captain America ran, and kind of post-war it kind of fizzled, and then there was a brief revival in the 50s, and then that didn't really take off, and then there was the one in the 60s where they said, oh, Cap, near the end of the war, was frozen, after that explosion, and Bucky was killed, and whatever, on that rocket. Right. You know that story. Yeah. Well, people can't right understand, like, well, what about the Captain America stories from the 50s? If you're saying it's at the end of the World War, Stan just forgot that those stories had happened because
Awesome.
that revival in the 50s was kind of brief. And so, that Cap being frozen was a retcon. Okay, because it was just the title ended.
Right.
And because superheroes fell out of fashion in the comics readership. And so this retcon took, the government created another Captain America, with they synthesized the super soldier serum, blah, blah. I thought that's really cool. And then this issue dealing with that, I think was really poignant, was a nice end to Brubaker's run.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
I thought this was a great issue.
Yeah, I thought, because the 50s Cap is kind of down, he's in the hospital and just kind of losing it, I think.
Totally.
Cap's then he's like, look, I understand that these things have happened and that the Captain America name has done a lot of damage to the men wearing the uniform. But that's all going to end. I'm going to take it over. And it seems like it's like a really heavy burden.
Well, Cap, yeah, and it's like, because his mission kept getting bigger and bigger.
Right.
And he says that. But also that his legacy, the hero worship of the original Captain America, in a way led to this person's downfall through no real fault of their own.
Right.
And Cap's honoring this guy for really serving his country. It was that, him losing it was not anything that he did wrong.
Right.
So I thought this was a really poignant, really cool issue.
Yeah, definitely. It was good for the final as well. I don't know how else to how you'd finish off this kind of arc with.
And the previous arc was finished. And it was cool to do a one and done here that was just like, wow, this is really kind of this isn't a throwaway issue by any means. It's really a classic Captain America issue. And it really says a lot about his history and what it means to be Captain America. And I just really, really dug this.
Yeah.
So
one of two Fraction books this week.
No, he did not write Journey into Mystery.
He didn't?
No, look, he's not writing that. Remember, because he was co-writing. He was co-writing the Everything Burns story with Gillen, but Gillen didn't. He did none of this. He's not credited.
Oh, okay, fine. So one Matt Fraction book this week.
Yeah, we'll talk about Journey into Mystery in a minute. Yeah. So we got the very end, the last part of Invincible Iron Man number 527 is the future conclusion to that storyline.
Kind of, because there's still one more. Are you sure?
I am sure.
Oh, okay.
This is the finale. I don't know. I can't remember if there's one more issue of Iron Man.
It seems like there is. Oh, okay.
So, but anyway, Matt Fraction wrote this. It's great.
Yeah.
Man, the Mandarin is dead.
Yeah.
And Tony Stark is, reeling with in the aftermath of, this whole thing where the Mandarin had basically invaded all of his technology and had access to everything. So, do you want to go in and talk about this?
Yeah.
This is your book, and
I've dug this series. I don't know if the first of the future series, I didn't enjoy the first
issue. You were a little on the fence.
Yeah,
but you gave it a chance and really started loving this book.
Yeah, and it did a great job. I think it's Tony Stark, Iron Man, dealing with the fact that some of his technology has been used for. I feel like that's kind of something he's always dealing with, but being used for terrible things, and he's dealing with that. He's dealing with. He watched Mandarin just get pretty much murdered.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before, but sometimes there's just no way to get around some villains.
Right, and really the reality of it is. Look, sometimes you have to make that hard choice.
Mm-hmm.
And with superheroes, it's like, look, usually the code is, don't kill and, whatever, but really it should be don't kill indiscriminately. It's if someone has to die, it's because they have to die, not because the stakes are too high to let them go on.
Right.
It's not like being the Punisher and killing every street criminal that you encounter, which funny because we'll be talking about him in a bit. But yeah, I mean, and Captain America, you're like, okay, he kills guys, and he's never like, oh man, this is awesome. But he's a soldier, and in war, people die.
Yeah.
You know, and so Captain America, I feel, has a realistic approach to that is morally acceptable. And I think, but a lot of other heroes struggle with that.
Yeah, and Tony Stark's one of them.
Yeah.
Which is, it's surprising to me because of his his attitude just in life in general. He's a playboy. You know, I'm Iron Man. What's up? You know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he has this other side to him that says, people are looking at you for an example, and how well of an example are you if your tech's being taken, if you're allowing people to get murdered,
right?
If you're, you know, Zeke
Stain, yeah.
He got a hold of a phone, and he's still kind of nutty.
Yeah. And Tony was really upset about somebody letting him use their cell phone because he thought it could be a coded message,
right?
Which clearly it could have been. And so, yeah.
So he has all these pressures on him, and I think. You mind if I spoil this?
What part are you gonna spoil?
I'm just gonna tell. Like, he takes off. He just.
Oh yeah.
He just says.
He's headed for space.
Yeah, I'm done for here for now. I need to figure out. I need new ideas. I need Tony Stark time.
Yeah.
You know,
and
takes off.
And I think that's going to be really exciting in the new Iron Man book. I think it's really cool. I saw that it looks like he's also going to be doing some time in the new Guardians of the Galaxy book.
Oh, okay.
So it's interesting. He's going to be a part of them at least for a little bit. So I think whatever's going to be happening in, I don't know if there's one more issue of Invincible or if the next one's just going to be that new Iron Man book.
Right.
But I think there's going to be strong ties between those books, at least initially.
Cool.
And I think that's cool.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, if you're going to pick up Invincible Iron Man, go back and pick up the last, I think it's 7 issues of the future. It's a good story, a good wrap-up for Fraction on Invincible Iron Man.
Yeah, definitely.
So, a not Fraction book.
Yeah, I promise he didn't write it.
This is Journey into Mystery, number 645.
And this is the last issue I'm buying of this.
Right.
It's the aftermath of the Everything Burns storyline, which... Why did I bother?
I don't... Yeah.
Yeah,
The concept is cool.
Yeah.
All of Asgard is burning.
Yeah.
Everything's on the tree of... What is it? The tree.
Yggdrasil, the tree of life or whatever.
Yeah.
The world tree.
The world tree is just up in flames. Cool. Like,
yeah.
But then...
Yeah.
Disappointment.
This kind of explains some of the things, and I think this is going to lead into Young Avengers, which is where Loki's headed next.
Yeah.
But, you know, and the art in this was lovely, but I don't know. Honestly, this storyline has let me say, you know what, I'm staying away from Asgard for a while.
Right.
I'm definitely dropping the book with this issue. With the next, starting with the next issue, it's going to focus. Lady Sif is going to take center stage, something about her. But I don't think I'm going to get the new Thor. And I'm just kind of where I'm like, because I feel like if I buy one, I'm going to have to buy both, and I don't.
Yeah.
I'm Asgarded out with this. Yeah. This just didn't. And
that's totally fair. Because these books have been just kind of a letdown in story.
Yeah.
There's so many different flashes to different places and times.
And little subplots and things. And it's like seems like they added some weird realm that seemed like just like Earth, America, but it's within the 9 realms. It was weird.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was crap. So I don't know. I'll pass. I'll go back and read old Thor comics.
Good call.
You know.
Our final Marvel book this week.
Punisher Warzone, number 1
of 5.
Yes. Greg Rucka, picking up where the previous issue of the Punisher left off. And boy, this is great.
Yeah.
Spidey confronts Frank Castle, thinking that he's, a
cop killer.
Yeah. But even if he's, saying like, well, even if he didn't, it's like, why have we as Avengers not brought him in?
Absolutely.
He has a bit of a fight with Frank, and then he goes to Avengers Tower and meets with the other Avengers. Tony gives him the brush off on this.
Yeah.
But Captain America's like, no, you're right. And Wolverine goes to talk to Frank, was like, look, the Avengers are coming.
Yeah.
But this is really cool. They're kind of like, look, this guy's a murderer. Look, it's not about justice, and we can't allow this to go on, okay? Yeah. So I'm really curious just to see where this is going, although I feel that because the new Thunderbolts book has already been announced, spoiler, okay, he's going to have some loose affiliation with the Avengers or the legitimate superhero community.
Right.
Or not. I mean, I could be completely wrong. Well, that could be something else.
Maybe. I'm glad that finally... I'm a Punisher fan. I think he's a cool character. He's an interesting character. And this last series was really interesting, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of not sure with some issues of the Rucka's, Punisher regular ongoing, but I was just plowing through, and I eventually got really into that story. And this picks up right from where the last issue of Punisher left off. Yeah. And it's just really, this is really good reading.
So while I was kind of on the side of Castle, in that, here I'm like, you know what, the Avengers are right. They need to take this guy down. I was so easily swayed into they do need to take him out, because he is just a ticking time bomb before he just goes crazy.
Sure. And Spidey was really good in this.
Yeah.
I hate when I go to when you see, the guys in their civilian clothes, like at the Avengers Tower, and I'm like, who is that? It took me a while to realize that was Captain America.
Oh, yeah.
But what can you do?
Yeah.
But no, really good issue. I'm really looking forward to this series as a whole. I'm really, really exciting book.
Yeah. So a book you picked up
a few weeks ago, and it kind of just got stuck in the corner somewhere. We didn't end up talking to it. Was Doctor Who #1?
Yeah.
IDW. It's certainly not the first Doctor Who comic they've done, but it's this new series starting over with a #1. Andy Diggle written, and beautiful art by Mark Buckingham.
Yeah, I totally dug that.
Yeah, so this is cool.
Yeah, interesting story. And I mean, obviously, the companions get into trouble.
Yeah, and I'm curious as to how long in this series Amy and Rory will continue to be the companions, as everyone's seen it by now.
If you haven't, shame on you.
But Amy and Rory have left on the Doctor Who television show, so I'll be curious to see if there's an arc, and then we have the current companion or whatever.
Right. I feel like the cool thing about Doctor Who is that they can continue on with these.
Sure, and
these companions for a while.
You can jump around and talk about, any set of companions or any Doctor.
Because even the last couple episodes, we saw the Doctor come in, take Amy and Rory, and then they were gone for 7 months.
Sure.
Where does that time
There's
go?
all kinds of breathing room to say, no, this took place during wherever.
Yeah.
So this is a cool series. I'm really excited. The art for various Doctor Who series, limited series, it seems like can be kind of hit and miss because they change artists, seems like seemingly every arc or every miniseries. But this is really great art. This is nice to look at. And it's well written. Seeing them go back to some Victorian age, or no, maybe it's the early 20th century, but somewhere around there. But cool things. I'm looking forward to... Actually, the #2 comes out Wednesday, unless IDW is late again.
Which
could happen.
You could almost count on.
Yeah, they kind of solicit things and then can change the dates at the last minute. But
I enjoy it. I'm glad you're picking it up.
Yeah.
So another Doctor Who-esque book.
Esque? Nothing.
No, it's straight Doctor Who.
Star Trek: The Next Generation and Doctor Who #6. To be honest, I'm glad that this is... Okay, this is issue 6. We've got 2 more. Things are kind of going, towards, climax time. Man, the further we get into the series, the more I'm like, nope, I just don't like this art.
No.
Man, no. I don't like the art.
It's painted
and it's cool, but you can do that well, and you can do that in a way that's just visually unappealing.
And this just looks like they left a lot of water on the can. Like, it looks like it just kind of started bleeding through a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the story is fun.
And the likenesses for the actors that they've done a good job, but at the same time, sometimes the style makes that look not so good. I mean, like,
right.
I think if this was pencil, I would probably like it better.
Yeah, and I mean, close-ups are always a lot better, but then when they're doing a wide shot and there's multiple things you're supposed to be looking at, it just gets kind of sloppy looking.
Yeah, and at times it looks like bad comics, but as a read, the story's good.
Oh yeah.
And I feel that it's very true to the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And their dynamics with each other. Yeah. So it feels like, this is how it would be if Doctor Who did cross over with Star Trek.
And after reading through these so far, and pressure from our buddy Sean, I've started watching The Next Generation via Netflix.
Your roommate, Sean?
Yes.
Okay, Sean Roof.
Yeah. I've started watching The Next Generation on Netflix, and I've been enjoying it.
Yeah, it's good.
I like that they're all kind of one and done. But yeah, good story.
Not all. They would save two-parters usually for like the end of the season, and then like the season premiere would be the part 2.
And so fun story. It's gonna be 8 comics. Pick them up.
A couple more months. I'm kind of glad it's gonna be done.
Yeah.
In a way.
The idea is strong and fun, but the art's kind of lame.
Yeah. So that's all our regular books. You want to do webcomic of the week?
Yeah, webcomic of the week. I wish we had like a cool sound effect or something.
Someday.
So this webcomic comes from AmazingSuperpowers.com. The comics is called Amazing Superpowers.
Okay.
And it has nothing to do with superheroes.
Really?
Really.
You read a bunch, I'm assuming.
Yeah. They're all, most of them are just standalone, few frames, and they're just silly.
Okay.
I like silly comics.
That's good. It's good to laugh.
Yeah. Like I said, the one and done. There's a few. There's the first few are kind of this is kind of rough.
Now, does it have a set of characters or
not really? After a while, you start to see the art become more cohesive and.
So you just kind of watching it going from the beginning and seeing how they progress.
Yeah.
Artistically.
Yeah. Which I think is really fun. Because you see some things you're just like, really? That's what they went with their art? But then the funny is still there all the way through.
Okay.
The first comic is just a fish in 3 different frames, and then the final frame, he's silent in the first 2, and then the third one, I've become my father.
Oh,
and,
man.
And then it's over,
Interesting.
So they're clever and funny. I enjoy them.
Well, right on.
Yeah.
So that's AmazingSuperpowers.com.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. I think that will do it for us today.
Yeah. This has been Comic Reflections. I'm Nicholas Prom.
And I'm Spencer Valadez.
All right. Take it easy. Don't let the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy.